Hi guys, welcome back. We continue now from the last video where we discussed why we trade with expert advisors. Now, in this video, we're going to be discussing why we actually trade with many expert advisors and not just one, and why it is so beneficial to use something like Expert Advisor Studio or FSB Pro to create many strategies. Now, as mentioned, the strategy, let's just look at one again, is based on the historical data that we have selected, and in this case, it is from 2007 to 2020. Now, what you can see is if you look at the balance chart is that the performance, although it does go overall in a very upward direction, and our balance has increased by more than 50%, there are periods where it drops down. So it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. This is the equity line. This is actually your balance. And the periods where it goes down is what we refer to as a drawdown. Now, the reason for this is that expert advisors and the rules within our expert advisors work very well in some market conditions, but not very well in others. And that is the reason that we trade with many. And what we do is, and again, we will be covering this later on, is that we place a whole lot of them onto a demo account, and then we monitor them and we select the ones that are performing best in current market conditions based on certain criteria, and those we move onto our live chart. Now, oftentimes there are guys that are selling expert advisors online and they're promising you the moon and the stars and that you will have 50% returns per year, and quite frankly, this is just not possible. And the reason for that is that market conditions change, and an expert advisor that is working very well in current market conditions doesn't necessarily work very well in other market conditions. But conversely, the other expert advisors that perhaps don't perform as well as some in certain market conditions actually perform very well in others, where the other expert advisors become unprofitable. So what we do is we actually monitor many of them on a demo account, and once we are confident that the expert advisor is performing well in current market conditions based on certain criteria that again we will cover later on, we then select those and move them from our demo accounts into our live account. And guys, this is very important to understand. This is really the core principle of the system that I am teaching you here. And that is that we want to trade automatically, but we also need to keep an eye on market conditions and keep an eye on what our expert advisors are doing in current market conditions so we can replace them as required. Now, if you remember from a few videos ago, where we discussed different strategies, what you can see is on this one, for example, we have a very different one to the one that we discussed in the last video. And in this one, our entry, we have the stochastic and we have the money flow index with their own parameters. And on our exit, we have the alligator. It's also important to understand that when we are generating a strategy in Expert Advisor Studio, the short entry will always mirror the long entry, and we can't change that. It will automatically set up the short entries according to our long entries and the short exits according to our long exits. So let's just look at it very quickly. So let's say on the long exit, you can see that we have an alligator where the lip crosses the teeth downward. So on the short exit, we'll have the alligator where the lips cross the teeth upward. Now let's quickly go back to our collection. And what you'll see is that, as mentioned earlier, although we have a very good equity line in terms of the movement upward over time, there are drawdown periods. But the drawdown periods on this strategy are not the same as this one. And that's what I was mentioning earlier, is that this one would have performed very well in certain market conditions where perhaps this one wouldn't have, and vice versa. And that is why we monitor multiple expert advisors and ensure that we are always trading on our live account with those that are performing best in current market conditions. I hope this is clear to you guys. As always, if you have any questions, please ask me below. And in the next videos, we will be going into more depth on this. And in the next section, I'm going to be running through exactly how we generate our strategies and all of the various settings that you can change in order to get the best possible expert advisors.